Recording.
What's up?
What's up, my man? Seriously,
Shoot.
when I texted you, yeah, shit, that's right. When I texted you earlier that I was like cutting down trees, I wasn't bullshitting. We were like, hey, it's fucking. I actually worked today. I went into the store and did some curbside service and shit, but
Selling burritos.
came home. Yeah, exactly. But I was like, oh fuck, let me get into it. But I knew once I started, it was like, oh shit. So we literally just every tree in the back like part of my yard is now in my yard. Now I don't know what to do with this shit because it's a bunch of cut down trees in my fucking yard.
I mean, there's places that you can call, but usually wait, like, depending on what you gotta go. Like, this is the worst way to start out an episode, but like, depending on what kind of trash pickup you have, they'll pick up yard waste too, dude. Just saying.
I agree. This conversation's trash. My bad.
Review the user contract with whatever waste management company you currently use.
I know. It just means I'm gonna have to fucking go back out and do more yard work, which I love owning a home, and we've bitched about this before, but I hate not just like, hey, landlord. Like, I hate that I'm the fucking dude that's got to do it, or me the wife. Like, I hate that shit. I don't like yard work in general. I love being out in the yard. I just don't like making it nice, like the whole process.
It depends, man. There's certain things that like doesn't bother me. So other things, I'm like, it's just tedious bullshit that I don't want to have to deal with, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So like, like for instance, like our front yard is dead, like dead. We have it's a real small front yard, but we have two gigantic, like two of the two biggest fucking trees in the entire neighborhood are in my front yard. They're gigantic.
Yeah, it'd be hard to mow around that.
Well, that's not the problem. The problem is that these two fucking trees need moisture to fucking grow. So, like, we have, like, multiple times, like, ripped up all the fucking land and, like, tilled it and put seed down and watered and tried to regrow the front yard. Well, that shit don't matter because the trees keep sucking all the moisture out of the fucking ground. So the only thing you can get to grow up there is like fucking weeds. I'm literally like 10 seconds away from just like scrapping the whole fucking thing and painting it green and calling it a day.
Paint your fucking yard, dude. Do it. Like, or just lay down some AstroTurf, man. Fuck it.
Like, I don't have to mow that shit. Like, I can fucking vacuum it instead of having to pull up leaves every year. Like, yeah, dude, it's fucking ridiculous.
Your neighbors would be like, what in the hell? And then they'd be like, oh, it's brilliant. Dude's onto something. Every wife would be so pissed off, and every lazy ass husband would be like, oh, tits. Dude's got the idea, man.
This was a great option.
Yeah. Right on. You been doing all right today?
Yeah, man, dude, it was actually a pretty solid Saturday, man. Like, I slept in, you know.
What is sleeping in for you? Like, I was gonna say, how late? What does that mean to you?
Like 9:30 today.
Damn.
Yeah, man, it was nice. Like, I woke up when the kid woke up. The kid slept in too, man. The kid slept until like 8 o'clock today.
Damn.
But I heard the kid, I heard my kid wake up at 8, and I was going to get up, just like, help out, do all that. And my wife was like, nah, stay in bed. It's cool. And I woke up a couple times, like from like 8 to 9:30, and I heard them like playing and stuff. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to interrupt. Like, they're having good bonding time. Like, it didn't sound like the fucking alarm bells were ringing, like help was needed.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna call it. Like, I'm just gonna fucking keep it low key. And so I did, man. And then I got up. Like, we went on like our 3-mile walk in the middle of the day, and we sat.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice. We stopped, had lunch, put the kid down, and just kind of been chilling all day, man. It was nice day.
Right on. Wow. I like it, man. Well, I bitched a little bit at the beginning, but overall, like, hey, seems like a fairly good fucking start. Normally we have a shit fest at the beginning of an episode, just bitching about everything.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, like I've said this, on a couple different occasions. Like, I honestly, like, when quarantine and shit's over, like, I want everybody to be healthy. I want the economy to go back, like, be in good shape.
Right.
I want people to have jobs. I'm not saying any of that shit. I'm just saying, like, for me personally, like, it's going to be hard for me to go back to being in an office away from my family every day after, 2+ months of, having them, like, right there every day. So.
Yeah, I will say, man, it was only for like one day, but the wife is at work, and I took my son to my sister's, who's been safe and self-quarantined because I had to go to work, but the whole time, dude, I missed that little dude. I was like, I'm spending every day with them, you know what I mean? I always miss them, but it's different when for 3 weeks or however long it's been, 2 weeks, whatever, like every day it's like that's my routine and it's fun as hell. So it is gonna suck, like for real, like going back and knowing that he's at daycare, and I'm like, if daycare ever opens again.
Right.
But once we get back into the norm, it is gonna be hard to fucking get back in that groove of the daily norm.
Well,
we've been blessed. I know people are not. A lot of people need to go back and need to get it out. I get it. So.
Well, I mean, it's such a weird time, man. Like some people are going through the roughest shit they've ever had to go through. Some people are fucking thriving. Some people are partying like it's fucking going out of style. Like, I mean, to me, I'm just like, I'm trying not to focus on all, the rough shit. I'm trying to keep as good of a perspective on shit and be as happy as possible, man. And
that's why we're going to get through this shit, because that's the right attitude, man. People who are just like down on, just down and out all day. Like that shit ain't healthy, man. Like this is what we got. So fucking, make the best of it. Like I'm not being all preachy and shit, but for real, I mean, like fucking, buck up.
Yeah, man. I kind of, it's weird, but like I kind of, I hate to put this fucking angle on things, but like I've had some rough, just like everybody else, man. I've had some rough fucking shitty situations in my life. And the minute that like I realized, okay, dude, that fucking sucks, but it doesn't change anything. You know what I'm saying? Like you still got to get through it. The minute that you kind of like make that mental fucking click, like, okay, this sucks, but at the end of the day, we still have to get through it. Like we still have to.
It's not gonna go away.
Yeah, everything still has to continue to grind forward, regardless of how bad this situation sucks. So like for instance, like when I lost my dad, like dude, it fucked me up. Like I mean I was bad news bears, man, but
right.
Like at some point, like mentally, like I kind of had to sit there and tell myself, like, dude, he would not want you to grind to a halt. Like that's not the fucking life that he would want for you. So I don't know if it'll help anybody. I don't really give a fuck if it helps anybody personally. My point there is just it made my life a lot easier when it's like, all right, dude, that sucks. It's like one thing that kills me is when people are like, I don't understand why. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Like, if you knew why, would it make it any easier?
Right. Yeah, no shit, man.
Like, if you could see the whole thing play out, like, ahead of time, like, it still means that this sucks right here. Like, so
Well, when you're in the moment, sometimes it's hard to, like, step outside of yourself and fucking, realize that or hit that. So fuck, dude, it's good to tell people that shit because maybe somebody needs to hear it right now. Because when you're in it, dude, it's hard to get out of it sometimes. So it's I mean, but
not to ding on this again, but like like when that was the worst thing that fucking people could tell me, like when my dad passed away was, everything happens for a reason. Like, get the fuck out of my face with that shit. Like, I will punch you in the dick Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't care if it's true.
I want to hear
You know,
that reason.
on one hand, you're telling me that everything happens for a reason. On the other hand, you're telling me to not ask why. Like, what, dude? Like, these convoluted fucking narratives. Stop helping, because you're not.
Well, that's because people don't know what to say, so they always say the wrong shit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
so if you're going through some shit, I'm here for you. I'm sorry. Shit sucks.
There it
Just keep pushing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only advice that's ever going to work in life. Keep pushing.
There it is. That's good advice though, for real. And hell, if you guys like the solid advice coming from the fucking boat crew, check us out for more on our social media sites. Look at that segue. You like that?
Yeah, based on True Events Podcast at Instagram and Facebook. We're also on the Twitter.
The Twitter, where we at? Podcast Boat, BOTE.
Right.
We got our YouTube channel rocking. I did finally manage to get a video uploaded so you can see our ugly mugs. If you want to go check that shit out, hit them up. What is it?
Based on True Events Podcast, :boat.
Oh, I know. See, I always fuck it up. Yeah, Based on True Events Podcast, :boat. That's right. Shit, if you're not into the social medias or you don't want to fuck around on YouTube, hit us up on our Gmail. We'll respond to that shit quick too. What is it? Hit them up.
Based on True Events Podcast at gmail.com. Just for the record, I went back and watched the video of the one that you posted where the two of us are on there, and I have like an insanely massive beard in that.
Oh, dude, it's fucking what is it? Zangief? No, yeah, maybe
Zangief.
Anyway.
Yeah, but the fucking first episode that you post with you and I actually in the video is like the most depressing fucking episode. It's the fucking mummy guy, the doll maker. I was like, oh shit. Like, I was sending it to people like, hey man, this is like, oh, okay. You know, here's our YouTube channel. It's up, like videos up of us. And then I was like, everybody was like, they're like, man, it was cool seeing you guys, but fuck, man, that episode was rough. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. That episode's rough.
Yeah, that one was about the human doll collector, where you compared me to him, by the way. So I put my own little video up, fucking defending my honor. No, dude. So the reason I posted that one, I thought that the audio and the video quality was really good, so I wanted to kind of post something out there and not have the first one out there be real shoddy. So. That's what it went with, to be honest with you. I've got 3 more that are coming up soon, that are they're more upbeat. That's for damn sure. In fact, the what's his name? Robert Smalls. That's one that we need to share with everybody, because everybody can do that shit right now. I went back and listened to part of it again because I was like, yeah, I need a little pick me up.
little kick in the ass.
A little something, yeah. So check out the YouTube. Hit us up on the Gmail. We've got I Wrote for Boat still going. Send us your suggestions. We'll definitely pick a winner and send you a free shirt.
Free shirt. Then we got our field trip episode coming up. Some point post quarantine. 2024.
Yeah, no shit. At this rate. Man, we still got the Facebook group, which I skimmed past, but Rock the Boat. Feel free to banter with each other. There's not as much action as I'd like lately on that, but I understand that everybody's digging in with their own shit at home, so no worries. But we're still there, and I still want to interact, so keep that shit coming. What else we got? Well, you guys voted. I don't guess we want to announce the top 2. Obviously, the next episode, you'll figure out who fucking won, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, so that's what
I love that. Yeah, thanks for voting. Thanks for the interaction on that, because we want to do what you guys want to hear. I mean, this was Shep's idea, and I loved it, so we're going to keep doing it. I
think we'll finish out those 4 suggestions, and then we'll put another 4 suggestions out, and then you guys do the same thing. Vote on what you like, and we'll do those episodes. So keep suggesting, and then keep voting.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but I shaved because I was like, dude, I couldn't do it anymore, man. It was fucking killing me. I didn't get like, you probably didn't even notice I had a beard, except for the fact that last episode I told you about it. But I don't know how you do that, man. I was like, I felt like literally I'd look in the mirror. I'm like, God, I just feel unmotivated. Like, I feel like I'm just fucking lazy, not shaving. I don't know, man. It just didn't work for me.
Dude, like, so I actually had this conversation, like a very similar conversation to this with my wife. Like, cause we had just watched the video where my beard is like down here. And I was like, I realize how I look. Like, I understand the portrait that I'm giving off. Like, I get it. Like, I don't care. Like, I like the beard. I like it being long and fucking crazy. Literally the only reason I trimmed it up and cleaned up the whole appearance was, dude, like we were taking pictures it was like a family thing, like for Easter with the kid.
Easter.
And
right.
Fast forward 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. I don't want this picture where I'm looking like Wolfman Jack fucking just walked out of the fucking woods and shit, like branches like branches in my fucking beard and shit. Like, so I cleaned up the look a little bit, and you know, she was like, so you like it like long? And I was like, yeah, that's like the point. I can do it. So
I didn't like it. Yeah. And I tell you, the little bits of gray make it look more sophisticated. So it doesn't even look like raggedy or sloppy or nothing. It just looks like, cool, dude's got a rockin' fucking long ass beard. If I could grow it like really fast, I would, but my shit takes too long, and I can't do it. Plus,
you got bad high school facial hair going on. Like, it's like wispy and spots, like patchy and shit.
No, it's not that bad. It fills in, and then it doesn't get long. It just doesn't, like, it grows out, and I hate that. So I just keep trimming it here to get it to go this way, but it doesn't. Fuck it. I just don't. I'm not good at growing beards.
Yeah, well,
so,
can't be good at everything, bro.
I know. I'll let you have that one, man. That's your world.
Yeah.
Speaking of letting you have it, man. Yeah, it's your episode, bro. Yeah.
All right. So, to preface this episode, it's kind of a part 2. Not really. I mean, It's a sneaky part 2, I guess. This episode, the way it was titled on social media is Antarctica. The lost civilization. First civilization, yeah. So the Antarctica bit will come into play later. This is a big story. I was telling you before we actually started recording, it's a big fucking story. Not big in the fact that, like, you're going to see this shit on the news and we're the one breaking it to you. We might very well be breaking this information to you, whether or not you agree with it or you don't. But just the ins and outs of this story are fucking ridiculously intense. Like, the people who, like, I didn't do this. Like, the people who researched this, they not only did they work with other people who were high in their field, but like the way that they went about the research is pretty intense. So name of the episode.
I'm sorry, before you jump in. So, like, when you did what was the episode that you were kind of saying would be
the Aztec blood cults?
The Aztec blood cult. But you got into this little bit about Antarctica, and I, dude, like, my jaw dropped. I was like, something registered with this whole story in that book that I know you're going to reference. But so I don't want to jump in your episode, but like, I wanted this, and I think during that Aztec episode, I asked for you to do like a part 2. So I'm stoked that, by the way, this was the one that people voted for. This was the number 1 voted choice. So I'm stoked that you're doing this one, and I don't care if it's part 2, part whatever. It's like, this is a cool ass theory or I guess topic in general. So I've wanted you to do this for a while since then.
So technically the first episode kind of leads into this. The Aztec blood cults kind of leads into this as being like, it was a suggested episode, and it was suggested to be done that way. So then after that episode came out, we had a whole lot of people who were like, dude, you have got to do the next piece of that. So nobody's really like, you know, usually like we call out like, hey, this is so-and-so's topic. Like, dude, it wasn't just one person that was like, hey, you need to do this. So there's a ton of people that actually like really suggested that we do this second episode about this. So that's where we start. So if you need I don't know who's picking up our podcast and decides this is the episode that they want to start with, but if you did that, then you need to go back to the Aztec blood cults episode to kind of get some reference points if that's something that you want to do. I'm going to try to kind of explain the story as best I can now with all my cards on the table. So to start this story,
that's fair, but I think that even if keep listening. Because I think, you don't have to go back, but I mean, I agree. It would be cool to go back because I think it would. For me, I had never heard this theory, so that was an intro for me. So
the first dude I'm going to plug here in where I'd heard about this theory, I guess, whatever you want to call it, many years ago, and I couldn't fucking pinpoint like where the fuck I heard this from. But this is kind of it's about the lost history of mankind pretty much. And basically the idea is that we, to quote Graham Hancock, who wrote the book that I'm going to reference a lot tonight, he says, we are a species with amnesia, that we've forgotten where we came from and how we fucking got here. And we keep fucking starting over, and we keep starting over, and we keep starting over. So he starts the book, The Fingerprints of the Gods, which if you haven't read, I highly recommend going and picking it up. It's fucking worth it. Books like that aren't generally a page turner for me. For what it's worth, I blew through this one, like fucking love it.
It's long.
Huh?
I said it's long as hell too. You showed me it's thick.
It's a big ass book. So this whole story starts kind of the way that I'm going to tell this story is with kind of the evidence that I feel is important, and I'm going to kind of reference it that direction. So his book starts with what's called the Piri-Reis map. Now, Piri-Reis was he was a naval general in the Ottoman Empire a few hundred years back, okay? This dude had full access to the Ottoman library at the time, and he would use the maps of the time that were on hand in the library to better create maps for when he would go on expeditions with the Navy or fight battles, basically in the Atlantic Ocean, the South Asian Sea, those kind of places. So anyway, he has a map. The Piri-Reis map is the first map where they kind of show Antarctica. Now, to put that into perspective, like nobody even knew Antarctica was there, supposedly, until a few hundred years later. This dude had a map, and when I say a map with Antarctica in it, like you could just draw a fucking circle and be like, oh, look, there's this little thing. But he actually had Antarctica mapped pre-ice. So it wasn't until we did seismic surveys of Antarctica what was under the ice that they could even prove that the Piri-Reis map was accurate. And it was accurate to a crazy detail. Like on his map, he had mapped inland seas on Antarctica that you don't see because of ice. But because of seismic surveys, we know that fucking that inland sea is in there. On top of Antarctica, he also has the east coast of South America and North America mapped. And he has them mapped in a way that they would have only appeared like pre-Ice Age shit.
Yeah, how? Like, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so now, one of the points that's made in the book is that if it was just this one map, it would be kind of considered like an abnormality, like you know, it wouldn't have caught that much attention. But there were other maps that he referenced that showed the same topography of Antarctica in the same way is how he made his fucking map, right? Fast forward a little bit, this dude would have been a huger piece of the puzzle, but he kind of like fell out with the Ottoman Empire at the time. They kind of pulled him off of being in the Navy. Like there's a whole other story about Piri Reis, but he's where it starts. So
what's the time frame?
I have to like, so
it's ish. I mean, me and dates are whatever, but like, right. I mean, it's ish, you know.
So the basic topography of the map is reminiscent of 4,000 years BC.
Right.
So that was kind of like, okay, that's when the map would have probably been, you know, but it could have been anywhere up into 15,000 years BC. But I think the time that he was around was like in 1200 AD, like, fuck. I really should have done a little bit more research on the actual dude that I started the story. 1500s, the 1500s in Constantinople. Okay. Right. So anyway, so that's a big piece of the puzzle. Like, for you to know what Antarctica looked like without ice means that there were maps at least existent at the time when somebody could map it without ice. Okay.
Yeah. Way fucking long. Yeah. Like long ass time ago. Yeah.
So, you know, that only leaves a couple options. Like this is why I kind of tend to not play this song very often, is because people are like, oh, it's got to be fucking aliens. It's got to be fucking aliens.
I was waiting.
It's not fucking aliens. All right. Let's just get that out of the fucking story. Okay. I'm not playing the fucking alien game today. All right. So anyway, the next point that I'm going to make with this first civilization, and like I will wrap all this into kind of like a nice little bow and like how we get to where we're going. But the second piece is we're going to Egypt. Okay. And we're going to Egypt in the time of the fucking pyramids, bro. Right? Everybody loves the fucking pyramids, right? Guess what? I'm not going to fucking talk about the pyramids. Yeah. Not really. I'm going to talk about them just a little bit. Because what's more important than the fucking pyramids in Egypt, is aliens. It's got to be aliens, man. Is that in Egypt, their civilization went from what we're told is basically zero, like basically hunter-gatherers, to an advanced fucking complex language system and a hierarchy of mythology and gods. Okay? Now, in every other culture that has language, you see it build, right?
Yeah.
You see it okay, the English language that we have in America is a bastardized version of what came here from England. And, you know, the Creole, you know, dialect in New Orleans is a bastardized version of English and French because of the roots of where it came from. Most of the other core language, you know, romantic languages have a core in Latin, and that's why people can learn all those sub-languages pretty easily, is once you get Latin kind of under your belt a little bit, then you can kind of, I know where this root of the languages, and that's how fucking languages kind of build. Same thing with like Asian languages, man. You know, there's multiple, you know, dialects in China and, you know, stuff like that. But it comes from a place, and you can track it through time, and you can watch it build. In Egypt, they went from nothing to, oh, all right, it's basically like us, clicks and whistles, nobody can read, to, oh, where the fuck you put in semicolon?
Right.
all in the portion of about a week.
Right.
So at the exact same time that they've got this fucking crazy ass language put together, they build the Great Pyramid. Okay. Now, the Great Pyramid, like, if you haven't done any research on the Great Pyramid, it's crazy enough without doing research on it. But when you actually start digging into some of the fucking, like, mathematical shit that went into building the pyramid, just like taking out the size and fucking weight of the stones that were used, the fucking attention to detail and mathematical fucking tolerances that were used, like within 100 of 100% of this tolerance to that tolerance, from one end to the other end, this sounds stupid, but from one side to the other side to the other side to the other side, like all four sides of the Great Pyramid, it's like within a third of a fucking foot of difference in length. Like, fucking,
that's crazy. That's crazy as hell.
So you got the Great Pyramid, and you got a fucking base language system that's ridiculous, all out of the blue. Nobody fucking knows where it came from. Nobody understands how it was fucking done. Right? Okay. Aliens. No, it's not fucking aliens. All right. So here's what this is the last bit about pyramids that I'm going to tell you. In Egypt, anyway. So they build the Great Pyramid, and then they got the two pyramids beside it, right? And then the Sphinx and all that shit, right? Well, if you look at the tolerances between the Great Pyramid and the other two pyramids, it's like somebody's dyslexic little brother copied somebody's homework to build the other two pyramids. Like, they're good, they're nice, but they're not anywhere near in comparison to the first one that was built. All right. You don't go backwards with technology generally. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't go from a fucking iPhone back to a fucking TI-88 calculator. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't go backwards generally, unless you're copying somebody else's shit and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so the big point I was trying to make with the guy, you know, the Giza Plateau, is a lot of people have said that those three pyramids and the Sphinx all match up with the night sky in 10,500 BC. All right, so that would inherently mean that somebody out there, some culture out there, thought that night sky, it's the three pyramids are supposed to be the three main stars of Orion's belt, and Sphinx is supposed to be facing towards Leo in that night sky. Now, why is that important? Well, we didn't think anybody was doing anything but pick their ass and fucking just trying to survive 10,500 years before, you know, whatever you want to say happened at that period. All right, so if you're not Christian, before the Common Era is what the kiddos say these days.
The Common Era.
that is, it's BCE is before the Common Era. So anyway, now we're gonna flip over to everybody's favorite, the Mayans. Okay. So we talked in the Aztec episode a little bit about the Mayans, a little bit about, you know, the Inca population, Peru, you know, Nazca, the lines, all that shit. Okay, there's a lot of like big talk about a lot of that shit, But there's a couple things that a lot of people tend to neglect when they're talking about this story. Because of aliens. It's not fucking aliens. Okay. So you have two cultures, all right, removed from each other, we're told, by time, antiquity, language, all that shit, right? But they both built pyramids, right? They both have an amazing handle on astrology. What else do they have? What else do they have in common? The highly developed religious system. The religious system. There's been some arguments that some of the gods in Egypt and in the South American cultures, the Mesoamerica cultures, actually mirror each other. There's an Egyptian god Thoth, Thoth or whatever. I'm butchering that name, but he was supposed to be
a god to have if you had a lisp.
yeah, right. Mike Tyson cannot say this dude. Anyway,
that's horrible.
This god was supposed to have been the bringer of knowledge. Like he brought them language. He brought them mathematics, medical shit. Like he was the bringer of all of this shit. Well, Mayan culture actually has almost the exact same god, just a different name, and actually in many ways described almost the exact same way. So here's where I'm going to do my little tap dance with religion, because I know how people get so fucking hung up on some religious shit, but
Dad, yeah.
At the end of the day, we got to have this conversation. So if you look at many religions, especially just like watching a language build, you can watch religions build, and you can watch religions build and incorporate the myths and ideals and the stories of everybody else that they kind of come into contact with as you're moving forward in life. So a lot of these like Greek, Roman religions kind of mirror each other in a lot of ways. There's a lot of same gods, a lot of same shit going on, right? But the thing a lot of people don't talk about is the fact that a lot of that shit that's going on in the Greek and Roman religions is also kind of going on in the Scandinavian religions at the time too. And the Scandinavian religions weren't exactly friendly with each other. The Germanic people, the Scandinavian people, they were like, fuck you, this is our shit. But why are they telling the same fucking myth stories? And the main myth story that happens to show up all over the goddamn planet is the fucking Great Flood. Right?
Right.
Big fucking flood, right? So in our collective human history, there is no more common theme other than like the fucking sun is God than a great fucking flood. Right?
Right. I never thought about that. Yeah.
So that's
across the board.
Across the board. Yeah. Like every ancient culture talks about the Great Flood. Right? And they tell that fucking story, and they tell it in different ways, but it's always the same fucking story, man. A lot of fucking water. Everybody got fucked. Okay? Yeah. We all got royal fucked at one point by water. Period.
By water.
All right. So the point of all of that, the language, the pyramids, the multiple cultures mirroring each other's bullshit. All right. So let's say that you take the United States of America, right? And you just bombard the fuck out of every other country on the planet, right? And even a shit ton of America gets fucked up. So we drop the world population down to, let's say, 10% of what it was, right?
Yeah.
The only places really not affected are like Guam or like these island areas that are removed from everything. Now, the idea is that these 10% of the world's population that survived probably had memory and a high level of knowledge and technological knowledge and they're trying to pass this shit on, right? It's
Right.
like, okay, all this shit, we got it in our head, man. This is our fucking culture. This is what we've fought for thousands of years to build as a civilization. And it's down to like 80 dudes and women like, trying to figure this shit out. So they span the earth, and they fucking went to different fucking corners of the fucking globe, right? So like the idea is like, okay, all this, the fucking flood happens, the waters recede, and then whoever was left that still knew what the fuck their ass was from a hole in the ground, some of them went to South America, some of them went to Egypt, some of them went to the Fertile Crescent, some of them went to China, some of them went here, some of them went there. But that's why everybody's got kind of the same borderline fucking myths and the same borderline shit. That's why they tell the same borderline fucking stories. And they tell all the stories from a fucking genetic memory of this is what we used to be, and now we're fucking here, and we're fighting our way back up. And that's why there's so much of this shit in these big fucking like monoliths that somebody else built, and we don't fucking understand. It's not fucking aliens. We fucking built that shit and forgot. Like we forgot how we did it. Like, and that's the point of this fucking story. So the idea
that's what registered with me. That's why I love this, because that I can get behind. My brain goes, okay, that makes sense. Like that is believable. I'm on board. You know what I'm saying? More than any other theory that I've ever heard. So continue.
So okay. So this is how we're going to jump back. This is how Antarctica comes into the fucking story. It's not just, it's not
Antarctica.
it's not just the anchor foot on the fucking map that leads to the question, which leads to the question, which leads to the equation. There's actually a point as to why Antarctica is there. All right. So in this dude's research, Graham Hancock, dude who wrote the book, Fingerprint of the Gods, his basic premise, and his premise is actually, it was kind of something that he agreed with that somebody else had said, but Einstein actually agreed with this as a possibility. Like he said, in physics, this is a possibility. So basically it's like the crust of the earth at some point slips. So the idea that like basically the inside, like the core of the earth, like all of a sudden like enough inertia from the spin gets going, and then all the fucking land mass just kind of turns a little bit. Now, the reason that that's important is because there are fossilized evidence in Siberia of like mammoth with like fucking half digested food in their stomach, and the food that's in their stomach it would obviously have to have been eaten recently to have been frozen inside the animal, and the food that's inside the animal is not food that grows in Siberia because of the temperate nature of what Siberia is. So basically the idea is that to some extent it's the fucking world shifted on its axis, not on its axis, but like the fucking shelf of the earth kind of spun a little bit. And so the latitude, longitude of land mass is kind of changed.
And how's that possible since the earth is flat?
Right? Aliens. Yeah. So the idea basically being like certain areas that were hot aren't hot anymore. Certain areas that are cold aren't cold anymore. And this actually kind of makes sense when you kind of look at it like, okay, well, why the fuck would we build these huge monuments in certain areas in the desert in fucking Egypt? Well, Egypt looked a lot different even 2,000 years ago. So the world kind of goes through climatic changes anyway, but the idea is that some of these climatic changes are really more about a change in the actual positioning of where this landmass was. Okay. That's this dude's theory. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. That's just this dude's theory. That's how he explained
Sounds
it.
right. Yeah, it sounds right to me.
But here's why I feel like that's compelling. All right. So you got two fucking options for a great flood. And when I say a great flood, I'm not talking like, okay, like we fucked up the environment and now like
Melting, right.
caps are melting and shit's getting, whatever, which is very possible. I mean, if the world's basically in an ice age, the water level is going to be way lower. So you're going to have fucking people living close to the water, and then all of a sudden shit melts, and it's like, oh shit, like everything just flooded, right?
Yeah.
Like I agree that is a possibility. I don't think it's a deluge like they talk about like in the Bible or in any of these great epic poems of the Great Flood. Great Flood's really more like, oh shit, man, a big wall of fucking water just came and wiped everything the fuck out all at once. Now, if everything on the earth shifted all at once, there's going to be a whole lot of water coming in to your front yard real fucking quick. And it's going to happen all over the fucking world all at once.
Basically. Right.
All right. So back to Antarctica. The point of the story is like he actually, like in his research, he realized that this high civilization that kind of like brought all of this shit all out of the world, it would have had to have been accounted for somewhere, right? Like the Egyptians kind of have like a growth story. The Europeans have a growth story. The Romans have a growth story. The Greeks have a growth story. Like you have a civilization that is disappeared. Like there's no root story for the group that's supposedly like, hey, we just got here and like we run shit, we know everything. He couldn't locate where that was. And so the idea was like, he was like, okay, this is what they would need. They would need fresh water source. They would need enough space for a strong civilization. They would need, they would need to be water-faring, like oceanic people. So they'd almost need to be an island, but it'd need to be a large island basically so that they could support a high enough population. They would also need to be able to have access to pretty much every area on the planet pretty easily from their location. He's like, and basically like A, B, C led to, oh shit, all of that exists in Antarctica. It's just covered in ice. So if you look at like, if Antarctica is where you had the first high civilization of humans, and all of a sudden that motherfucker is placed at the bottom of the fucking map and fucking freezes, like flash freezes. The rest of the world just got dunked in a fucking tank of water, and we're all trying to figure out and rebuild and pick up and fucking figure out what the fuck's going on. They're like, all right, how the fuck are we going to do this? And so in the Aztec blood cults episode, I said, I'm actually kind of interested to see what the fuck's going to happen when some shit melts in Antarctica because of global warming or whatever. I mean, I want the environment to be okay, but like, I also kind of want to know what the fuck's under the ice because like they have found, like recently, they just came out in the news not that long ago, and they found like rainforests on Antarctica frozen in ice that are millions of years old.
Really?
So they found 2 inland seas frozen under the ice in fucking Antarctica. The only way you have an inland sea in Antarctica frozen under the ice is if that shit froze when it was a sea.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not saying one way or the other. I am saying that if we get there, like, I think it's going to be a long conversation before anybody in any government's going to go, oh yeah, we found some fucking legit pyramids and huts and scrolls and all sorts of shit in fucking Antarctica, and it's probably been there a million years. Like, I think we're a long way off of anybody actually coming off and saying that shit. But that is fucking far more believable to me than aliens. Okay.
Or you know, we won't get into religious. Everybody knows what different religions believe. What happened and everything. So, dude, that no one, man, that would just literally crush so many people's like beliefs and lives. Like, even if there was blatant evidence, like truth, like this is a fact. Here's the fucking your book that you pray to is wrong. Because look, here it is. Ain't nobody gonna say it. Talk about government cover-ups and conspiracies, dude. Because I don't know about the rest of the world, but in America we can't keep church and state separate. Apparently, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, dude, sorry that was my rant, but I agree. It's gonna be a long ass time.
But here's the thing, man. Like. So, like, I beat the fuck up on the ancient alien guys all the time. And it's because it's bullshit. Because, like, I believe that there is intelligent life out there. I fucking believe it, And I actually, like, I'm not above saying that I think that they've come here. I think that they came here and maybe had, like, a decent, relationship with a high society civilization of humans that knew how to fucking act right. And then they saw us like get kicked in the dick, and then everybody went back to fucking throwing rocks at each other and being dickheads. And they're like, we ain't coming back for a little bit. That party is fucking dead. Like, so, like, the reason I fucking hate the ancient alien guys is like, dude, why? Like, 50 years. Just look at the last 50 fucking years of our species. Like, how many fucking advancements in technology and fucking aerospace technology, like all sorts of fucking things that we've done in just a 50-year gap, even a 20-year gap, a 10-year gap, a 5-year gap. All right. Now, Joe Rogan said one of the funniest things, and it's one of the most intelligent fucking things, man. And I said it before. I said it on, I think, the Aztec episode. If you were to drop you and me and a handful of other people off on a fucking deserted island and said, okay, you don't get any of your shit. Like, here's food, here's water. Like, you're going to survive, but you don't have any of the fucking creature comforts. You got to figure out how to make shelter, how to eat, like how to hunt, do all that shit, rebuild society. Like, how long is it going to take you to make an iPhone? Like, how many fucking generations of your family is it going to take for you to get back to a level of society? The easiest civilization to wipe off the memory is a technological civilization, because we don't have, like, look at the way the libraries are going. Look at the way that anything is going these days. It's all on our phones. It's all on computers. Yeah. It's all on CDs. And the minute that you take away a central fucking power grid, our phones are worthless.
Yeah.
The minute that you stop building CD players, none of the CDs matter anymore. Right. None of the Blu-rays matter anymore. Like, it's just a shiny thing. It's just a thing.
I still love my.
Yeah, it's just worthless. We are the easiest to wipe out of existence and memory of existence, because once you get so fucking far up the road, you stop collecting shit in a physical form and you start collecting it in a digital form.
Yeah.
There could be billions of records, a fucking lush history of everything that the human civilization has done for however long you want to think that we've been here. And it's stored in some fucking mainframe that we don't know how to fucking access anymore.
Right.
A scroll can be burned. A book can be burned. A CD can be broken. A mainframe can be destroyed. Like, that's why technology is so easy to erase. But these major fucking stories like the Great Flood, these myths, these legends, when it starts showing up in multiple places, that's when you kind of got to be like, all right, man, these motherfuckers saw something. These motherfuckers.
They all saw something. And it was too similar. And there's too many stories that are too close for it to be total bullshit.
Right. So the reason that I tell this story about it, Antarctica, why Antarctica is important basically in this story, is if there was that civilization, that first civilization, and that needed a home base that didn't get wiped off the fucking planet, preserved under ice for thousands of years, that actually fits the fucking bill. And the reason that makes sense is this Piri Reis dude had maps that he made from older maps that showed an Antarctica without ice. And why are you mapping a place?
You're not living.
You're not living. And in these maps of Antarctica, like it shows like waterways, it shows like hills, it shows like trees and shit, like animals in Antarctica. Like it was a fucking place.
Right.
Not just a fucking snow cone sitting at the bottom of the world, you know?
That's amazing.
This story is really, this story is like near and dear to my heart. Like if you can't tell, I kind of, this is what butters my bread a little bit when it comes to, like if you want to talk like conspiracy theories or weird shit that's out there, like this one's mine. Like this is the one that I kind of abide by, the idealism.
And this is exactly why I wanted you to do the episode and not me, because I'm sitting here like a fucking giddy school kid just going, oh, tell me more. Like literally I'm wearing a fucking blanket like it's fucking story time, dude. I knew this was your bag, straight up. That's why I was like, this is yours. And I love this story. It's not even a story. I love this theory. I love the idea of it. I can get behind. That's why I like this. It excites me because I'm like, yo, there's a civilization underneath Antarctica for real, and that will explain to all these fucking crazies that yo, we just forgot, dude. It was that long ago that, you know, they basically got wiped out and had to start over, and you know, there's no fucking, you know, memory of it. I love this.
So like one of the points of the story that I did kind of want to make was like, so when I told that story about like how, you know, you kind of got mirroring gods on different sides of things, like, okay, like, so if you had like, you know, let's say 1,000 fucking people, right?
Yeah.
And they got out of harm's way, and they took their knowledge and they're trying to spread it across the world. And they had like a name for their culture, and they're trying to like fucking talk to these, we'll say primitive, but at some point, like maybe they weren't that primitive. Maybe they were just not as advanced as X, Y, and Z, you know, like if they knew about, you know, astronomy, if they knew about building techniques, they knew about medicine to some degree, they knew about fucking language to some degree, mathematics, geometry, they knew about these things, and they bring those to a culture, that culture is going to revere them for what they can do. And they might not even be playing that God complex bullshit that, you know, people would totally do in this day and age. But back then, they might not even been trying to do that. They might just been trying to like, we need to teach you this shit before we die because we're the only motherfuckers who still remember this. Right. You know? So they may not have ever come into it like, hey, I'm your God, like fucking worship me. They might like, I need you to fucking listen because this is gonna save some lives. This is gonna be where your culture comes from.
You're fucked if you don't.
Yeah, this is why we do this, and this is why we do this, and then fucking fast forward 500 years, 1,000 years, you know, whatever it is, and it's like, oh, this fucking crazy God came down, and he gave us language, and he gave us fire, and he did this, and he did that. No, it's just some dude who's trying to fucking teach you dumb shits how to get back to what the fuck we're actually capable of.
It was Bill, dude. Fucking Bill.
But so if you had like 1,000 people that fucking all escape the same fucking cataclysm while everybody else gets wiped out, and then they start finding people and they're trying to teach them, That's why you're going to have these like mirroring fucking mythologies. It's like, we're just trying to teach you dumb shit some stuff. And then it's like, oh, the bringer of knowledge, he brought us language, he taught us, you know.
Yeah.
And then you get fucking us who can't fucking like be happy with the fact that we're human and we fucking accomplished some shit. And it's like, it had to be aliens. We couldn't have figured this out on our own.
There's no way.
Dude, go fuck yourself, man. Get the fuck out of my face with that shit. Like, I'm not saying aliens don't exist. I'm just saying they ain't gonna waste their time teaching us how to fucking build a house, okay?
Right.
They're gonna be like, what kind of cool shit you got here? Nothing? Cool. We're out. We got our own shit going on back at Ursa Major or wherever the fuck we're from. Like, they're not going to worry about like, we don't go to the fucking, like, we'll go to the zoo and teach something like sign language or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But, like, you don't teach an ant how to do shit. You fuck with an ant. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, like, we're not teaching fucking anything to other species of animals on the planet other than the dog to, like, go get us some shit. Like, go get the paper. Like, what the fuck? Like, we're not bringing civilization. We're making it a fucking fun parlor trick for our friends. Like, what the fuck you? And it's the same opinion that the fucking aliens have of us. Until we get to a point where it's like we can talk some science shit to them, they're not gonna give a fuck about us, and they're not gonna fucking help. They're not gonna fucking help. They're not gonna fucking try. They're
not gonna waste their time. Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
That's my soapbox.
Dude, dude, this whole episode is your shit. Like, so I knew that this was your bag. In fact, I'm amazed that I think we're like right about an hour. Like, I was like, dude, this is probably gonna be like a 2-hour thing. But you already knew what you thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, you knew this story, and so you know you've got your opinion. It's locked. So it was real easy for you to tell me this story. So it was just a fun ass ride for me, and I was just waiting for like, yeah. And again, as usual, I learned some shit, but this is next level for me. Like, this gets my brain all juiced up, man. I like this kind of shit.
So, like, before we started this, I did say this was a big fucking episode. There's so much shit I left out. Like, so much shit that I left out. Pick up the book, Fingerprints of the Gods. Check out what that dude said. Like, he's the first person to say, like, yeah, I've made some mistakes. Like, I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm just saying that this is my theory. You know, dude, there's everything from, like, the weathering on the Sphinx to, you know, fucking Göbekli Tempe and fucking, you know, in, what is it, fucking, I think it's in Iran. No, Iran's got a whole bunch of other shit. But anyway, Turkey. I think Göbekli Tepe is in Turkey or Syria, you know, whatever. Doesn't matter. Look that place up too. That place is fucking insane. But there's just so much shit out there that just screams that we had a higher culture, a higher civilization that's not here anymore.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, you know, and then you got these, I mean, all right, I obviously I love some science, but those dudes, like, science is almost like the church in a lot of ways. Like, if you don't fucking believe what the whole fucking group believes, then you're fucking crazy and you're out.
Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, you know,
well, this just makes, like, if the entire story of like these Christian beliefs and the way that, you know, a God or God created this and that and so many, and like the Bible itself, but that's just one that I know. Like, that is that's a Santa Claus story. Like, I mean, I told you about how I told my wife, like, the belief of Santa Claus, and she looked at me like I was insane. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, we just live. I mean, I know that Santa Claus isn't real, but like when I was little, we told our kids this shit. You know, it's like, where did that come up with? Well, the story of God, I was telling her, like, what you know, Jesus and the Bible and all, and she's going, what the fuck? She's like, that's insane. People believe this? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, to me, I'm going, of course they do. But literally, this is one that you could tell the story to somebody. There was an early civilization that got wiped out, and we forgot. Nobody's going to go, it's too far-fetched.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of people out there.
Well, it's because they're Christian or they're religious, and they're going, well, no, it can't be true because God, you know.
Yeah.
Like, how can you scientifically go, that's impossible?
Well, I mean, I'm not here to completely shit on religion, but I will say that, like, dude, we write a new physics book every few months. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's just one fucking area of scientific understanding that we continue to edit, we continue to update, we continue to learn, we continue to perfect. That's just one discipline in the scientific arena. You're telling me that a few thousand years ago they wrote one book and they were like, yep, that's good. That's it. Nothing else needs to go in. We don't need to know anything else. That's
it. That's the winner.
All forever.
That's
you know what? Look, I do believe that there are things, and most of the time this doubles up into every religion, but whatever, believe what you want. But I do believe that each religion kind of speaks to the area of the people that it speaks to. And it does give you some, ways to kind of be a better non-asshole, as long as you really look at what you're reading and in the idea of it, and not be like, oh, this means I got to kill every gay person I ever see. Like, come on, motherfucker.
Dude, don't be an idiot.
I think,
well, one, take into consideration when said book was written and who it was written by.
Well, yeah, dude, but
women writing that book. I mean, like, so,
Well, but even like, I think, somebody, like, not to go off on this tangent, but like somebody said like one thing, it was like, the mention of like a man laying with a man, I think it's mentioned 3 times in the Bible, like every word in the Old Testament or something, that it's wrong or whatever. There's like 13 fucking mentions that you shouldn't eat shellfish. Like, okay, well, but nobody's losing their shit if somebody's eating fucking shrimp on a fucking Saturday. Like, what the fuck? Like, why?
Pick and choose. Yeah.
Like, I love the idea that, God doesn't give a shit about the deli aisle. Like, he doesn't give a shit what you eat. He doesn't give a shit who you go to bed with. Don't be an asshole. That's the fucking point. Like, that should be the point of all fucking religions. If your religion tells you to kill somebody, it's wrong. Your God's wrong. Like, something's wrong. Yeah. Like, sorry.
That's it.
So, like, if you get some good, pretty stories and it makes you be a nicer person, perfect. That is the point, I believe. But
well, that's the church I would go to. Amen.
Everything else is up for grabs, motherfucker. Like, that's, and it's not aliens. It's not fucking aliens.
It's not aliens. Yeah. I think we said that like
that is literally like me building like me buying a Lamborghini and taking it to a fucking chimpanzee and giving it the keys. Like, here you go. Good luck. Figure it out, fucker.
Yeah. Right.
Like, what, like, there's some shit in there that like makes sense because they're, kind of built like us and they could like fucking turn dials and do some shit, but they don't fucking understand it. Like, no.
They don't know.
Like, no. Nobody's going to fucking do that.
Yeah, right. That's a good analogy.
So,
all
right,
right on.
This is my soapbox episode. And it looks really weird in the picture. I'm not wearing a fucking alien head. It's a big fucking skull.
I thought it was the Punisher. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Punisher skull. So I was like,
that'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious if you're wearing an alien t-shirt.
Fucking alien head.
And we've like said it's not aliens like 20 times. We're like aliens are cool. That'd be awesome. No, dude, that was phenomenal, man. For real. I love that story. I love that people voted for that one because that's the one I wanted to hear. I love that you did it and you did it justice because, I clearly you've got some pretty strong beliefs on this one. So,
well, I was kind of pushing for you to do the episode. For like a week,
yeah,
I was trying to like sideline you into doing it because I wanted to see where your research would take you. I literally, like, more than the episode, I wanted to hear every day. I wanted to get a text message or a phone call from you where you were like, dude, did you read the thing about the thing? And I'm like, yeah, dude, like that's how we got here, bro.
Well, my fear was that it would be the other way where I would be like, oh, dude, I just read this. And you're like, no, you idiot. It's not that. It's this. And I'd be like, fucking. So I didn't want to be corrected for an hour. So that's why I did not do it.
I usually let you get to the end, and then I kind of do like a back, unless it's torch, like with the fucking flashlights or something.
Touche.
I'll correct your grammar on the spot, but I'm not going to correct your facts on the spot.
All right. No, I'm glad you did this one, man. It was awesome. And yeah, if you guys haven't listened to the Aztec episode, it's dope too. I don't. This honestly, this was one of my favorite episodes because I knew I was so interested in this, so I knew for me it would just be literally sit back and listen to a kick-ass story. So, dude, I loved it. Hopefully you fuckers loved it too.
Yeah, good. If I missed something, I omitted something, you know what? Vote for the next fucking episode, because maybe we do something else along the same lines. I don't know that there's a whole lot left. I mean, I could go into finer detail about,
Right.
language or building or fucking mathematics, like whatever it is. But like, I really just hit like the high points of a lot of this to get this done in like under an hour and a half, 2 hours. Because literally, like, dude, like, look, I mean, the fucking book is fucking this big, and this is like one of like fucking however many books that have been written about the fucking same subject. So it really interests me. That's why I like it. That's why I can tell the story. But I hope everybody else enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Yeah, I got nothing else to input. You covered it all. That was awesome.
Okay.
I enjoyed that. Right. So, all right, man. Good shit.
All right.
Later, dude.
Later, man.